Is for Allah, nothing but Allah. Ba is the beginning of Bismillah. Ta is for taqwa, bewaring of Allah. And Tha is for thawab, a reward. Ja is for Jannah, the garden of paradise. Ha is for Hajj, the blessed pilgrimage. Kha is for Khatem, the seal of the prophethood given to the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Welcome to today's edition of Pathway to Jannah. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. We are still discussing parenting. We know how tasking that could be. And today we are looking at what education is called in local parenting. The roles of teachers and the school in parenting. Inshallah, I'm going to bring in a very capable hand to discuss this. But before then, let's take Vox Pop. Stay tuned.
Anyway, my thinking about those things that's happening right now, I think believing what they are doing, like doing what is right at the right time, I think that is good, because eventually it now comes up like, okay, they are now allowing everybody to come out and do whatever they like. The virus is real, like the COVID-19 is real, but some people does not believe it anyway. But in Nigeria here, due to how government and everything and our economic, I think everybody we are not of the same feather, so everybody are trying to work out and get something to eat. So I think it really affects us, seriously. It really affects everybody. Yeah, it affects a lot in the sense that everybody is not free to do whatever they like, and you can see businesses are shutting down. They are not up like before. Sometimes you even go out to buy things, you might not get it, and a lot of things. And we believe that the pandemic that affects the other countries as well. There's no how we can move to other countries and get stuff like goods and all the rest. So I think it really affects everybody. So it's not only, it affects everybody. Yeah, I believe in social distance, but according to Nigeria here, some people does not care, or they do not believe that there's COVID-19 is real, in the sense that at least everybody is like, okay, they've not seen how it's happening, like where we wear our nose masks and sanitize our hand regularly and all the rest. I think it's part of it, yeah. But to me, I'm just looking at, Nigeria is kind of a corrupt area, so to work on that kind of thing is something that at least not everybody that can adapt on that kind of thing. So
You welcome back. The program is still Pathway to Jannah, and I have again in the studio with me Mrs. Shakira Olajobi, an educational psychologist. Now you can see that we're having a round peg in a round hole. She's actually here to discuss the roles of teachers and schools as parents, looking at teachers and schools as parents. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for having me again.
You're very welcome. Let me start this way. Do teachers or the school, do they have any role at all in parenting?
Oh yes, they do. They have a lot of roles to play in the lives of the children. And, there's this debate on who has the primary responsibility. And we were all brought up to know and say that home is the first place of learning, so parents are to be held totally responsible and all that. Yes, it is true, but in an ideal situation, which rarely exists anymore. So if we look at the children, you have children as young as 3 months already in the creche, and they're there from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. or whatever you have. And on their way home, in the car, they've already slept off, or the older ones are doing after-school lessons in school. They just get home, have dinner, and sleep. The next morning, especially if you live in Lagos like we do, the next morning they're up, it's just to have their bath and have breakfast. So I'm saying that if at all anything, the schools and the teachers even have the bigger role to play these days.
In parenting.
Yes, in as much as that's not ideal, but that's the reality today.
That's a reality.
Yes.
Now that means there are specific roles that we know parents should play.
Yes.
Are there specific roles? What are those specific roles that teachers should play? Now,
okay, so the primary role that ideally teachers should play is to ensure academic learning that is restricted to numeracy, literacy, and other school subjects. But again, let's go back to the reality of what we have. Because you see, a lot of things have changed, and new age parenting requires that teachers should play parenting roles. And when I say parenting roles, I'm talking about checking on these children and their behavioral patterns, checking on these children and their preferences, because they even know the children better than their biological parents. You see a child misbehaving on the streets, and you ask, what school does this child attend? Why don't you say whose child or who are the parents of this child? You see a child from a particular school, you say, oh, no wonder, because the schools are actually the ones forming the children. You see a certain child talking in a certain way, and you can almost guess, oh, this is the kind of school this child attends. Because, like I said earlier, they spend their productive hours of the day in the school. Yes. So if there's still any school or any teacher who's thinking, my job is math and English, they're joking.
Okay, that means
the way the children behaves is actually also part of their responsibility.
Does that mean that it is an essential thing for parents to learn, for teachers to learn parenting skill?
Oh yes, it is. It's essential. If you are a secondary school teacher, for example, you must be very well skilled in the act of parenting teenagers, because you have them in the school. So even somebody who is not married and is teaching in the secondary should go and learn parenting teenager skills, because that person has to learn how to connect. And again, we now know that learning is a lot more complicated than we think, especially because of the new demands on education. So the goal of education itself has moved. We've moved from the industrial age to the digital age. We do not require ability to cram, remember, and repeat information anymore like we used to. Okay. In those days, if you could, you knew your multiplication tables and all, you were fine. But today, in the real world, when you get to the real work life, you realize that critical thinking skills, teamwork skills, interpersonal relationship skills, public speaking skills, problem solving skills, those are all the skills that are making tops now in the job market. So what this means is that the teacher must be able to help these children to develop these skills. Because if as a teacher, at the end of the day, your children are grounded in math and grounded in English, but they have poor interpersonal relationship, you have failed as a teacher. And then they begin to ask, what school did these children attend? And that's why every teacher should realize that they are not just as responsible as the parents. If anything, they're even more responsible than the parents. Yes.
Now, in molding a child, we know that in the life of a child, we look at the influence of the nature and how the child is nurtured.
Yes. Now,
the school playing this role as a parent, or the teachers trying to fill in for the parents, sometimes they are blamed. The school, we shift this blame totally. When children exhibit negative tendencies, the blame is shifted on the school or the teacher. Why is it so?
Well, okay, so let me say first of all that there's a blame game between parents and teachers. Parents always blame the teachers, teachers always blame the parents, but the honest truth is we're supposed to be partners in progress, schools and the home. So parents and teachers should work hand in hand to ensure that a child turns out fine. And instead of saying you're not playing your role, let's sit down and talk about what the roles are. But you see, the honest truth again is that parents who feel that the school is not doing their job are usually parents who want to shift responsibility. As much as I say that children spend more time in schools, parents still have some fundamental role to play in the lives of their children. And they should acknowledge the fact that the school has a whole lot of influence on the children and work hand in hand with them. So when a school starts to complain about, first of all, a good number of schools do not even have that culture of what do we want to teach these children regarding behavior, life, and all that. Most schools focus on math, English, and that's it.
Yeah.
But again, like I told you, they spend their life in the school, even when they're not in boarding house. So, but for as long as a parent gets complaint or reports from school about the child, rather than go on the defensive and say, no, you're the one that is not, the parent should sit down with the teacher and talk about what the issues are. Some children have multiple personalities. The way they behave at home is not the way they behave in school. And because they spend more time in school and they spend time with other children, teachers are usually able to identify problems better than parents. A child who is an only child, for example, goes back into the house, doesn't have any opportunity to interact with any other child. The child is quiet, takes dinner very quietly, goes to bed,
and that's all.
And the parents think, oh, my child is very gentle and calm. But in school, the child is doing all sorts. So the home and the school should actually work hand in hand to produce better children for our world.
All right, that's a call for both parts, the parents and the school. We're going to take a short break now. We'll be right back. We're still going to continue our discussion on the teachers and the school in this act of parenting after this short break. Let's go on the short break. We'll be right back. You're welcome back. If you're just joining us, you've not missed it all. We still have some questions to ask Mrs. Shakira Olajobi. She's an educational psychologist taking us through the roles of teachers and the school as parents. Let's start from where we stopped the other time. Blame game that goes on between the school and the home. Now, there are times that teachers and the school do observe that some parents are actually negligent, that they do nothing when you have occasions, when you have certain activities that would give the parents opportunity to see how their kids are faring. That such parents don't show up. So what are those things that the school could do? Most especially when they discover that a child is lagging in certain areas, perhaps due to the neglect.
Okay. So first of all is that schools and then teachers should realize that parental involvement is very key. There is no way the school can bring up the children for the individuals' families all by themselves. There's no way they can do it without collaboration from home. So schools should have in place very detailed parental involvement programs. A lot of times when schools complain that some parents are negligent and all that, I believe strongly that if the schools will go extra mile to create programs that makes it impossible. What do I mean? For the average school, we have just the PTA meeting and then very recently in the last 10 years, open days. Besides that, what else do we have? Let's have multiple opportunities for parents to come to the school. Let's create a parental involvement program. There's something that some schools do. They say as a parent, before your child is able to graduate from the school, you must have spent a certain number of hours coming to do an activity in the school. You can even come in and teach them about your workplace, teach them about a foreign language, or even sharpen pencils. It's called parental involvement programs. You must come in to do something up to at least 3 hours. Some schools say 3 hours a year, meaning you can do 1 hour every term. Just come in and do something. Then you can have programs like, a lot of times where you're having events, we just say we're having this event. But rather than just say we're having this event, send invitation home to parents so that they can come around more often.
All right. We need more parental involvement. But sometimes, even with all that the teachers, the school put in place to have these parents come around, you find that in some situations you find even kids crying because they're not represented at all in anything. As teachers, how can we help such children?
Okay, well, unfortunately, for some parents, they're extremely unavailable, extremely busy, and as such they're not able to show up for their children. I still believe that because teachers have a great influence in the lives of the children, they can actually help these children to manage the crisis, because it's a crisis. One of the things that a teacher can do, for example, is to invite the parents at another time, to say, you didn't show up for this and this and this event. I think it really had an impact on this child because he or she was crying so badly. I really think you should find time to show up more and this and that. If it's possible for the parent, for the teacher to engage the parents in such a way. If it's not possible and the parents still do not show up, because some parents will not show up, they won't pick calls, nothing. So the teacher in that case can try to be there for the child, Maybe a child is being called out to receive a gift, and the teacher can actually walk up to take pictures with the child. For some of us growing up, we have some teachers like that who occupied a very important part of our lives, and we look back today, and every time we remember them. Some of them we're still in touch with, some of them we don't even know where they are, but we remember the impact that they had in our lives. Yes.
Now, is there any limit to what a teacher or the school could do when it comes to parenting? Is there any line that we could draw?
That's actually a very important question, because the honest truth is teachers are not the biological parents of these children, so they definitely, naturally, there should be a line that will be drawn, and especially because teachers could get into trouble. I've seen situations where teachers got into trouble that it even led to legal cases or even involving the police, and they were only trying to help. So the honest truth is, whatever the school or the teachers will do in helping children to come out as well-formed individual must be, one, the intention must be clear, the action must be clear, and it should be well documented. So even when we have cases of neglect and the school feels that they can play a role, it should be well stated. A teacher should not just feel, okay, I can just go to a child's house or do, it's possible, and there's nothing wrong if the rules of the school allows for a teacher to actually pay a visit to the home. Sometimes you even want to check the home environment, how safe it is, how healthy it is, or sometimes a child is ill, does not show up in school, you want to pay a visit. Yes, there can be situations like that. However, it shouldn't be something that will be done without any measure. And then the teachers, individuals too, they want to observe child protection policy by ensuring that there's never a situation where they're with a child one-on-one, alone, behind closed doors.
Yes. Especially between when you go to opposite sex.
Yes, even same sex these days.
Yes,
we're having cases of women abusing students and vice versa. So we just, as the school and the teachers, should have a well-documented child protection policy. That in as much as we want to help these children to become better individuals, these are the limits, and these limits should not be exceeded by any member of staff.
No. Yes, there are times that students violate the school rules and regulations. And then when the school takes up the punitive measures put in place, they try to act on it. You find parents reacting. How should the school handle this?
So every school should have their own rules and regulations that, of course, would have been formed with a lot of empathy. We should also have parents in mind and the realities of today's world. After that, parents should be made to know what these rules and regulations are. And the parents should know, because you see, the challenge that we have these days is that parents want to bring their own rules from home into the school, forgetting that there are different families. So if you bring your own rules and this family bring their own rules, and these rules will differ, they'll vary from family to family. So at the end of the day, what should the school do? Should they keep following and dancing to everybody's tune? It's not possible. So parents should realize that their children would have to follow rules in the schools where the children attend. And what parents do not know is that even where the rules do not really go down well with you, when you go to your children's school to fight rules, what you're teaching your children to do indirectly is to become rebellious to authority. Because once they're in that school and the school says certain things, even when you want to go and you're not comfortable with the certain thing, you shouldn't say it in the presence of your child. It not only lowers the respect the child will have for the school, it also makes the child to begin to misbehave in the school. And there has to be rules. These days, in most schools, even in the public schools, physical punishment, beating a child is a no-no. It's not allowed. And, I mean, that's okay. I don't have any problem with that, because in the past, we've had a lot of children being abused, even injured, causing very severe injuries as a result of beating. So it's okay. However, what is not okay is that children should not be punished at all. There has to be discipline, there has to be limits, there has to be rules.
Exactly.
But parents do not want any form of punishment at all. You know, there was a case I heard and I found it very funny, where a parent, I was told a parent went to a school to fight because the child was told to face the wall. And I wondered that what could be the negative implication, because what parents always say is that, no, I don't want anything that will affect my child's emotional. I said, what could be the implication of facing the wall? And also the parents said, hey, the child may get scared of the darkness of the wall. And hello? We don't even want our children to face any pain, forgetting that no pain, no gain. These children will not turn out as well-formed individuals if there are no rules. And the school on their own side should not get agitated or overwhelmed by parents' demand and cancel rules. We have some schools that have no rules. Children come in at whatever time. Look at punctuality, for example. The average private school in Lagos today is not firm on punctuality. Oh, Lagos traffic is very bad. Children are so children going into the school at 9. They're going to school at 10. Tell me, what we do not realize is that learning is for life. Yes. A child that has been in primary school for 6 years, secondary school for another 6 years, university, private university, they go to class when they like. When they begin to work, how can they make it to work early? You would see young graduates saying they're looking for jobs and they're invited for interview and they go late for interview because they never learned how to be punctual. And when you try to punish children for being late to school, it's another problem. So schools do not even punish. But I say to schools and teachers today, especially because we're Muslims and Allah will ask us, and these things are part of our deen. Even the salat has timing. Not just because of anything, because Allah is trying to teach us lessons, and part of the lessons of salat is punctuality. So when we have a school setting and a child comes in at whatever time, the child should face the consequence of coming late. We don't have to inflict injury or psychologically injure a child, self-esteem and all that, but it doesn't change the fact that the child should face the consequence. Because when children do not face consequences for things they do wrongly, they would not realize that in life there are some consequences that will automatically, by default, will happen. Natural consequences. So when they grow older and some of these natural consequences begin to show face, they develop emotional health problems. They break down. They have all sorts of things. You wonder these days, the kind of stories we hear, the kind of things that happens. It is because as parents, whether at home or in school, we have failed these children. They have not learned to feel pain. A child who is crawling, oh no, don't fall. A child who wants to carry bag, oh the bag is too heavy. Carry for them. At the end of the day, they cannot believe do anything that life is a bed of roses. But when real life happens, because it will happen, we're not always going to be there for them. Whether we're their biological parents or we're their school parents, we will not always be there. It gets to a time in their lives they have to move on alone, and then they realize, oh my God, life is not a bed of roses. We've not prepared them for life. Then they get very jittery and they break down.
Parenting is a daunting task. It is. Jazakumullah khairan. We've actually learned from your wealth of knowledge. May Allah continue to preserve you on this path.
Ameen.
And may He increase you in knowledge and understanding of the deen and in the world too.
Ameen.
Jazakumullah khairan. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. We've had in the studio discussing this topical issue. The school and the teachers as parents. There's very many roles that school could play, owing to the fact that we live in this world in a century where we have things, a lot of values eroded, and a lot of responsibility shifted to other individuals. Inshallah, we're going to move to the other segments that we have now. Stay tuned.
AIMS Media, an integrated media company with core focus in broadcast content, with an array of programs from our stable to meet the yearning of our target audience that cuts across. The Magnet, a half-hour business magazine program to share from the wealth of knowledge of veterans while mentoring the young ones. Quality parenting has been the bane to raising good children and citizens in the society. Child Quest provides tips to parents on how best to nurture the child. For our culture and language not to go into extinction, from the stable of Ames Media Company Limited, we bring you in Kotokonwa, a Yoruba magazine program. Our school training program continues to work stronger as we navigate from one Lagos State educational district to another, adding value to the student and future broadcasters. We seek your partnership, collaboration, and sponsorship on these programs and many more. Your event is better captured by our media crew with wealth of experience and professional panache. For details, call 0802 3069 388. Ames Media, truly turning your dreams into reality.
You're welcome back. The program is still Pathway to Jannah. If you are just joining us, take a recap of what happened today. We had a discussion with Mrs. Shakiro Olajobi, an educational psychologist, who put us through the role of the teachers and the school as parents. We made to know that though parents have their divine roles as parents in nurturing the children, now these days the attention is being shifted to teachers and the school, because the children spend more time with the teachers and the school than they do with their parents. Teachers should not feel their responsibilities, and they should draw the line. There should be a line that is drawn so that the school does not get into a legal battle with the parents. Inshallah, till we meet same time, same station. Bikudratillah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Every second I live, every penny I give is just for you. Every breath I